Hello and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host Bryan. We're going to wrap up today with a special selection, which is where one of you tell me exactly what it is I need to check out. Today's special selection comes at us from Tim. Hey Bryan, happened to find out about this band this year, and it's been a real treat listening to their album. Won't say much as to what they are about, the band name should probably give you an idea. This is some really fresh sounding stuff in my opinion, and I'm looking forward to your reaction and analysis. So we're going to be looking at Monika Roscher Bigband. I assume this is going to be a big band. We're going to get something a bit jazzier. And it's called 8 Prinzessinnen. I don't know. But it's kind of exciting right there, just having something that is described as fresh sounding. I feel like a lot of the stuff we listen to it's iterative. So let's dive into this and see what's going on. My first thoughts right now, which is why I chuckled, is acoustic Meshuggah. Let's see where this goes. Oh, I like that brass idea right there. We're on 20 beat phrases, so we're looking at 5 bars of 4/4, or possibly 4 bars of 5/4. I dig the melody from the last section. It's just a bit too sparse. Fun percussion idea. Very otherworldly. Feels a bit haunting, but only because it's so different. Really interesting use of timbre as well. I'm gonna need a second listen, but I think it pays off to listen to what instruments are given these rhythmically djenty ideas. Even like this section is going to take a second listen to really grasp all the layers. Okay. Hear how the rhythmic ideas are bouncing around here, creating a very cool ostinato. Bringing back our first section. Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, there's really two elements going on here. We'll explore each one in some depth and then check out some lyrics. I think the first part is the syncopation. At the beginning, I called it acoustic Meshuggah, and by the end of the track, I still think that is fairly accurate as far as talking about the foundational aspects in almost every section of this track. The idea of a syncopated rhythm that crosses bars and exists for a long period of time. In this case, the one section I counted it out, we had 20 beats. That's not really long. I know Meshuggah works on like 20 bars at a time occasionally, but it's still a bit on the larger side, and the fact that it crosses over bars creates polymetric concepts going on here. But beyond that, it still is something that moment to moment it's really difficult to find the pattern of. Um, and so we have this start and stop and an almost alien rhythm going on underneath where it absolutely grooves, but it's really difficult to understand what's going on. And I want this concept of alien, just like tuck it in the back of your memory. We're going to revisit that in a second. This rhythmic syncopation exists everywhere. And what's really cool about it is that they don't just assign it to one instrument and say, you are our rhythmic syncopation dude, you're going to be the djent instrument for our song. It changes from section to section and sometimes even moment to moment within a section. And beyond that, it's rarely ever one instrument. We usually have two instruments doing it, sometimes three, and they're not always doing the same thing. Sometimes it is harmonized, sometimes it's texture layering where they play the exact same pitch in the exact same octave, but occasionally also we'll get hockets going on where each of them, the two or three instruments playing this djent section, they'll play 90% of the notes and occasionally they'll dip out for one. And so we get this bouncing back and forth and then a full sound and then some bouncing and then back to a full sound. And it kind of feels like this rhythm is moving around the sound sphere of the track in a way that feels very organic. It is very well done on both the compositional side and the production side. And it goes a little bit beyond that as well, since the instruments are constantly changing on who has this foundational element. We also get different voicings and vibes and atmospheres for the sections as the voices change. When the trombones and bari saxes take it up, it's large, it's bassy, it's imposing. If the trumpets or pianos have it, it's a bit more light. It's sort of a bounciness that exists. And we have all sorts of different combinations of all of the instruments in our big band that can work together to create this hocketed, rhythmic, syncopated idea here at the bottom. And like I said, depending on who's doing it, we get different vibes from it. So it's composition on multiple levels. It's not just the notes themselves, but who plays it, and then the production of how it bounces around, where it's placed in the mix, how present it is in the mix. All of it comes forth into a song that, I can very easily boil this down to acoustic Meshuggah. But honestly, the idea of this ever changing rhythm underneath with an ever changing voice to it sort of extends beyond what Meshuggah does and kind of brings it into its own. It's not just an acoustic Meshuggah, it is rhythmic syncopated big band. Uh, and it's fascinating. It goes beyond just the trance of the rhythms and finds a way to incorporate it into atmosphere, into voicing, into production in a way that absolutely drives the story of the song forward. Every section felt connected to the past, but also its own deal. It felt more like the song was evolving in an organic way. On top of this, we have the melody. Half the time we got this through the vocals, and the vocals, fun, odd rhythms, pitch shifts. A lot of the time when I talk about the flow of a melody, it's about the peaks and valleys. It's about the movement from one idea to the next and how large of a jump that is. Smaller jumps tend to feel a bit more natural and fluid. Larger jumps feel a bit more rigid and difficult to follow. And we kind of see both sides of that in the melody writing of the vocals, where sometimes we will get these melody lines that flow together neatly, and other times just be these random ping pong of pitch shifts, jumping up, an octave and a half above where they're at, and then coming way back down to a much lower note in a way that sounds completely unnatural. And we'll pair that with more fluid, understandable movement of melody as well in a way that I don't know how to interpret it. Not from a thematic angle, anyways. From a theoretical one, I mean, yeah, we're just jumping back and forth between fluid and rigid ideas. But what does it mean? The whole song feels organically alien to me. This I don't know, but the vocal timbre is also something that gets toyed with as well, primarily at the beginning and the end of the track. I don't remember if there was a place in the middle where this happened, but we had some digitization added to it with this wide reverb and panning and chopping up of the vocals so that we would get like a 16th note of sound and then a 16th note of silence, like an auditory Doppler effect. It just some moments felt very natural and some felt very unnatural, very alien. I'm not really sure how to not feel about, but interpret it again from a thematic perspective. Because the music, when we get to the end of this and how I work it all together, I've got a pretty strong read on the song itself, but the lyrics are an interesting aspect of it. There is another type of melody, though, and it kind of requires a little bit of deconstruction of the foundation of this section. We have two wildly antagonistic, dissonant moments in this track where we kind of get rid of this focused rhythmic syncopation for chaos. There's still rhythmic ideas in here. I'm not going to say that many of the foundational sections are engaging in a type of melody or melodic writing. It still is an instrument picking one or two notes and bouncing back and forth between them or just sticking on the one in rhythmic fashions, but there's so many going on in cacophony. They're not unified in an idea like we had earlier, where they are all on the same rhythm or they're creating pockets within themselves. This is just multiple competing lines happening at the same time, and the pitches aren't in. They're not joining together either. They're clashing. We have a lot of dissonance here, and usually we'll have a melody on top of this that is it has a driving forward momentum type of melody. It takes us on a journey. It's got nice pacing, nice direction. Pitch wise, harmonically, I found it really difficult to nail down any specific key that these solo sections were in, given the sheer noise underneath them and the extended use of accidentals within the solos themselves, or maybe even at some points just completely getting rid of the idea of key in general and playing chromatically. Um, it is like completely losing grip of the space around. Um, and in fact, my feeling while listening to this, the rhythmic syncopation of the more palatable sections, mixed with the oddities of sound and the alienness of it all, but also that organic evolution throughout, sort of makes me feel like I am on an alien planet where, I don't know, technology is organic and the ground itself can move and shift in ways that we can feel. Almost as if the entire world, were flesh like with natural movement of evolution. But every once in a while, I got sucked into a portal, and all the flashing lights and craziness of this pocket wormhole are these really cacophonous sections. And then it spits me out in some other part of this planet that is naturally evolving and feels very organic and alien all the same, but different from where we were. That's how I felt listening to this song. Being whipped around through wormholes, tossed around this planet that makes no sense to me, but kind of does. Everything is very alien and foreign, but understandable. My basis of understanding of reality is still sort of applicable, even if nothing is as it is what I'm used to. And that's where the vocals kind of destroy that entire journey I went on, because they kind of do their own thing. The vocals are exceptionally grounded for the most part, aside from some odd pitch jumps and rhythmic ideas here and there. But within the constraints of what the song is doing during the sections with the vocals, they feel relatively tame. And maybe it has nothing to do with the themes of the track. Maybe it's just literally something for the listener to hold on to, a solid footing to explore such strange sounds. I greatly enjoyed this though. Let me see, this album 2023. I don't know how I missed this album. It certainly seems. Whoa, that is. They have a 6 movement. All the movements are relatively short though. The track itself is called Witch's Brew, and it's about as long as this one is. It's just split up into 6 tracks. 15 tracks, 64 minutes. Yeah, this. If. I don't recognize this name. There's no way this is already on my list yet. I gotta listen to this before the year's out though, because I have a pretty strong feeling it's gonna end up in my 2023 album list video thing. And I'm gonna be real mad if I don't get around to it and I can't put it in a list because I didn't hear it. I want to look at some lyrics. I have no idea what they're going to be about. I heard the idea of eight princesses on trial at the end, or 8 princesses being judged. I don't remember if I'm paraphrasing that or if I'm remembering that exact or not. But the idea that they're being judged for something. That's about the only thing I picked up. Let's dive into that and see what's going on. I'd be lying if I said I understood what was going on. The opening stanza and final 2 stanzas, actually, the opening 2 and final 2 are very clear. 8 princesses stand trial, trying to steal the northern light, trying to cage it and hide it to gain eternal life. 8 princesses look surprised, luminous faces, gleaming eyes, auras of light when they rise, new glow of eternal life. So we have 8 princesses who tried to steal the northern light to gain eternal life and are radiant while they are on trial. They also look surprised that they are on trial at all. 6 stanzas later, we reach our final 2. 8 princesses past trial, luminous lies piled to the sky, sweet scent of sulfur and bile, left orbit waved goodbye. 8 princesses lost control, felt like gods, oh how they glowed, keep on feeding the black hole, entropy has grown. The idea that they were certainly guilty of trying to steal this light, but they passed the trial anyways despite their lies getting stacked up, and they end up leaving the planet and can't control the power that they have, creating entropy or adding to the entropy of the universe. Everything in between seems so disconnected. It's passing moments of ideas. For instance, our third stanza says overstimulation can't be regular. All need to get noticed. You can't be you. It's fragments of ideas smashed together in a way that, at least to me, is completely disconnected. I'm trying to find a thread that connects these ideas, and I don't. We do specifically hone in later on about self-evaluation that feels like freedom, that beauty and youth are commodified truths. I wonder if part of this song is a commentary on beauty standards and the work that women do specifically to be presented as beautiful, and the sort of power that wields them, but also the scrutiny that it brings them, and the double standard of presenting yourself as beautiful. I can kind of see this thread in some of the ideas, and but I don't know if I have a strong enough grasp of the text to say that that's specifically what it's about. Anybody who is better at dissecting poetry and language, please let me know if any of these ideas are actually here or not. Regardless, though, it's possible that some of this is their presentation on trial. These are the lies that are piled to the sky that gets them off the hook for their attempt to cage the northern light. I don't know, it's just as esoteric in some ways as the music is. And the idea of feeding into the entropy of the universe with a song that frequently engages in cacophonous entropy, I don't think is lost on me. I'm curious if that is specifically a theme that they wanted to explore on this song. Much of the track feels harmonious in a way that, while it is seemingly disconnected, there is a general pulse and vibe that you can groove to with melodies that make sense in most of it. It pushes against a palatable norm while still sticking to a lot of the norms of listenability. But there are those moments when it dips into chaos, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the song specifically ends with our 8 characters feeding the black hole of entropy. Those are my thoughts on Monika Roscher Bigband 8 Prinzessinnen. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you agree with any of what I said, disagree with it, have your own thoughts, opinions, perspectives on the track, put it all in the comment section. Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find links to my music, ways to support the channel, a link to the Discord server, and so much more. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all 3 of those. That wraps it up for today. We will be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. As usual, we're going to check out some brand new music that just came out recently. That's what brand new music is, Bryan. Good job. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.